Hey, what's up guys, it's Hedrymas here with another video. So the PTR started working today and I decided to show you guys the new talents that are coming to Elemental Shaman. If you didn't know yet, Blizzard removed some old talents, they added some new ones, they also moved a few talents, and they also shifted some damage from Earthshock to Lightning Bolt. So first of all, the new talents are Call the Thunder and Surge of Power. The changed talents are Master of Elements and Stormkeeper. And the shifted talents, the talents that moved position, is Earthen Rage. So first of all, let's go over Master of Elements. The thing that changed with Master of Elements is basically it used to increase your nature damage and your frost damage, but now it also increases your physical damage. And the physical ability that you have is Earthquake. So now if you cast a Lava Burst, your next Earthquake will do 20% more damage. So let's see here. So Earthquake is ticking for 1500 right now. Now I'm going to Earthquake after a Lava Burst. And now it's ticking for 1857. This is a pretty good change, but in massive AoE the chance that we'll use a Lava Burst is very small. So we'll have to see how it plays out. On smaller packs, like 2 or 3 targets, this is actually a pretty good buff to us. Since on 2 to 3 targets we still use Lava Burst, plus if our Earthquakes get stronger, which we use anyway, then it's a really good buff to our AoE on a few targets. Now the new talent is called Call of Thunder. It increases your maximum Maelstrom by 30 and it reduces the cost of your Earthshock and your Earthquake by 10 Maelstrom. This is really good because this brings our max Maelstrom to 130, plus we can pull more Maelstrom to do more burst damage if we want to. So for example, the old problem we used to have, for example when we use Stormkeeper, is that we generated too much Maelstrom. You don't have it here, but on a lot of targets you have it. So basically look how many Chain Lightnings I can cast before I'm capped. And now let's see how many Earthquakes I can cast. I can cast 2 Earthquakes. So yeah, I could cast 2 Earthquakes in a row, which is really good because especially on AoE, if we have an overload of Chain Lightning, we usually have the problem where we cap on Maelstrom, but now if you pick this talent you won't have the problem anymore. Plus you can pull your Maelstrom more for if you're waiting for a pack of enemies to spawn. So you can, for example, use your Earthshock to keep your Maelstrom high. Like, I used Earthshock here, and my Maelstrom is still on like half of my Maelstrom. While if you use Earthshock without Call the Thunder, usually after Earthshock you have like barely any Maelstrom left. The next new talent we have is Surge of Power. It enhances some of your spells after using Earthshock. So for example, for Flame Shock it makes your next cast not have a cooldown. For Lightning Bolt it makes your next 3 casts cause an additional elemental overload. For Lava Burst it reduces the cooldown of your fire elemental by 6 seconds. And for Frost Shock it freezes the target in place for 6 seconds. For Flame Shock I think this might have some uses. For example, a boss where adds are about to spawn. So let's say 2 priority adds spawn and you're on high Maelstrom. You can use Earth Shock, you can use Flame Shock, you can use Earth Shock again, you can use Flame Shock, and then you can use Flame Shock on the boss again. So now we have 3 Flame Shocks up in a very short window. So we instantly have our Flame Shocks. We can start using Lava Bursts because we're gonna get a lot of procs like you see here. Like I'm just getting tons of procs. So yeah, I think this is a really good change and this gives us a lot of versatility. For example, let's say on Mythic Fete Devourer, you can Earthshock the boss, you can Flame Shock the boss, you get knocked back, you can instantly Flame Shock the ad. What this allows you to do is you have 1 Flame Shock up on the boss, and then you can instantly Flame Shock the ad. So if you get knocked back and you're not in the range of the boss, you will have a long Flame Shock on the boss, a full Flame Shock on the ad, and you will do more DPS because you're gonna get more Lava Burst procs. Now the next effect it has is your Lightning Bolt. Your next 3 casts will cause an additional elemental overload. This is great because this smooths out our single target rotation a lot. Because let's see, if we DPS this mob normally, let's do a normal rotation. Okay, Lava Burst. Okay, so we do Earth Shock. We start doing Lightning Bolt. We already have Earth Shock again. We do Lightning Bolt. See, we still have we have the buff up forever. Like we keep doing Earth Shocks and we keep having the Surge of Power buff. Like this is crazy. This just means that on our single target rotation, our Lightning Bolts, they will always overload. And because of the increased damage they give, like they increase the damage Lightning Bolt does and they reduce the damage Earthshock does. Because of this increased damage, this is amazing. Now, one thing that I don't know is the next effect is it causes your Lava Burst to reduce the cooldown of Fire Elemental by 6 seconds. If this turns out to be stronger in the simulations, then we won't be using the lightning bolt that often. But if it's not, then this is going to be great for our maelstrom generation. Now, the next change is stormkeeper. When you use stormkeeper, it used to just give your lightning bolts an overload, but now they changed it so your lightning bolts also do 250% more damage, which is huge because they buffed the lightning bolt damage plus 250%. Now, if we use Surge of Power with this, I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but if it does work, then that's amazing. We're gonna have so many overloads. Okay, so let's see if it actually works. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Okay, I need to test something first. So if I do Earthshock now, I cast one lightning bolt. Okay, after the first lightning bolt, I get the buff. So this means I need to do one lightning bolt first, and then I will get the guaranteed overload proc. Okay, so let's do an Earthshock here. Let's cast one lightning bolt to tell Surge of Power they need to buff our next lightning bolt. Okay, this is weird. Why is it buffing me now? I guess this is a bug. But let's now use our Stormkeeper. Jesus Christ. Okay. Did you see that damage? 15k, 12k, 12k. Imagine if this crits. Yeah, let's see. 18, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 31k. Imagine if all of them crit. Oh my god. That would be amazing. Now, one thing with the Surge of Power, if you use it with unlimited power, we might actually be able to get a lot of haste from this, because Lightning Bolt will always have an elemental overload if you use it after Earthshock. Now, there is one thing I'm not sure about, is if your Lightning Bolt can now overload twice, because if it can, because of this guaranteed elemental overload, this is actually great for unlimited power. Because imagine a world where you have a lot of mastery, you use Surge of Power and unlimited power, and you get 2 overloads every time. That's 4% haste. So basically this will give you a lot of haste during the entire fight. And look at all the elemental shamans, everyone is trying elemental, it's kind of funny. But okay, so let's see. We use Earthshock, we use Lightning Bolt. 1 stack. One overload. Let's try again. 1 overload. Let's see if we can try to get a double one, because I really want to know if it's possible. 1 overload. 1 overload. Oh, yeah, okay, it actually overloads twice. So, okay, this is great. We can actually overload twice with Surge of Power. Now with Stormkeeper, it might actually be possible to overload 3 times. So the first overload is from Lightning Bolt, the second overload is from Stormkeeper, and the third overload is just from your mastery. If this works, if you get a triple overload with Stormkeeper, that'd be amazing. Okay, so let's check. We Stormkeeper. 1. Okay, 2 overloads. 2 overloads again. I think it might not be possible actually. I think the Stormkeeper overload might actually be the same as the mastery overload. It just brings your mastery to 100%. So one thing I noticed while trying out Elemental Shaman is with Surge of Power, if you have an ability that's flying in the air and then you use your Earthshock, it will actually apply your Surge of Power to the ability that was flying in the air. So if you do a Lava Burst now, and then we do Earthshock, you saw it was up for a very short amount of time, but it instantly got consumed by the Surge of Power. This will kind of change how you play with Surge of Power if you want to optimize it. So if you do want to use it on Lightning Bolt, make sure you do not cast a Lava Burst just before you use your Earthshock. But then again, you also have if you have Master of Elements, your next Earthshock will actually do more damage, so maybe you do want to use your Earthshock after your Lava Burst. So it gets kind of tricky, like do you want to delay your Earthshock a little bit just so the Lava Burst hits before you use your Earthshock? Or do you just want to cast your Earthshock instantly after to not lose out on it, to not have any downtime? Then again, if you get a Lava Burst proc like here and you use Lava Burst and then you use Earthshock, then because your Earthshock you will have a global cooldown after your Lava Burst, this might actually cause you to try to delay your Earthshock until you get a Lava Burst proc, just so you don't proc the Surge of Power on the Lava Burst. So if I do Lava Burst and then Earthshock, see, I still have Surge of Power and I can use it on Lightning Bolt. So that's something that we might have to be aware of when we play Elemental Shaman. But yeah, my final thoughts on this is, I think this will actually make Elemental way better than it is right now. Like, just the Surge of Power and the Call of Thunder, plus the buff to Stormkeeper, it gives us so much to play with. I don't know, it just gives us so much. Even if the damage numbers wouldn't change, this makes Elemental amazing in terms of fun, in my opinion. But we still, of course, have to check the damage numbers. But if they do keep doing things like this, like, we're really going in the right direction. But yeah, we're gonna have to see in live compared to other classes and in raids and in dungeons. I can't do any dungeons here right now because I don't have a group for it, but yeah, my final thoughts is that this is gonna be amazing for Elemental. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions about PTR or want me to test something, just write it in the comments. I'm gonna test it out and then I'm gonna comment back on your comments. But yeah, thanks for watching and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.